I didn't plan to be the villain at a baby shower. If anything, I've been working hard for the last year to become boring. Boring is safe. Boring means no late-night arguments. No "where are you?" texts from numbers you don't recognize. No private investigators texting you screenshots of your wife holding hands with her coworker at a bar that closes at 2 a.m. Boring is coffee at 6, gym at 7, code review by 9, and a microwave dinner you actually taste because your mouth isn't made of adrenaline. Jenna didn't love boring. She loved momentum, spectacle. We should absolutely do shots on a Tuesday because the moon is in Aquarius. When you're in your 20s, that sounds like life. 31, it sounds like a receipt. The last receipt I kept was a postnuptial agreement I never thought I'd use. The paper version of a seatbelt you hope stays clean in the glove compartment. We'd signed it after we reconciled from her affair. Clean slate, she said. Proof that I choose you. The postnup had clauses I didn't write but insisted on. Infidelity, fraud, defamation, and a very specific section about pregnancy. If we ever have a child, she had said, you won't worry about me trapping you. Romantic if you squint. We divorced anyway, quietly, 9 months ago when the affair turned into an exit ramp. I kept the apartment and the dog. She kept the condo she said was too sterile to be sat in. We ghosted each other's calendars. I learned, as promised, to be boring. 3 weeks ago, Jenna texted that she wanted to talk. She chose a cafe with velvet chairs and plants suspended in macrame like hanging juries. I arrived to find Nate already there, her friend first, then our mutual friend, now her shadow. Nate is the kind of guy who shakes your hand like you owe him a secret. Jenna looked cinematic. Soft sweater, soft hair, soft eyes. She had that tremor in her mouth like she wanted to cry and to be given a reason not to. She didn't order coffee. She put both hands on the table and exhaled my name like a plea. I'm pregnant, she said. Time is a rubber band until it snaps. The cafe sounds pinholed to the hiss of the milk steamer. A plant ticked against its string. Nate went still in that performative way that says I knew this was coming and I'm the safe man here. I did the only boring thing I could do. I asked, how far along? 8 weeks, she said. She wet her bottom lip. I didn't know how to tell you. There is a stitch of reality that only accountants and programmers notice. The numbers should agree with the story. Jenna and I hadn't so much as brushed hands in over 10 months. I kept my face the way you keep a full glass steady in a crowded room. I said, evenly, congratulations. She flinched. Nate leaned forward. We want you to do the right thing, he said. This is bigger than past mistakes. I nodded. You're right. It is. Jenna slid an envelope across. Inside, a grayscale sonogram with her name typed in the corner, and a date. A faint, floating comma of a life. I hadn't realized how often I'd pictured this image in a future where we had fixed what we broke. The thing about grief is that it can be re-weaponized by hope. I'll need to process, I said. Can I get a copy of any medical documentation? For, insurance purposes. Jenna's eyes flashed. An emotion I couldn't parse fast enough to name. Of course, she said too quickly. I'll email. We hugged goodbye. It was too long and too cold. Nate watched like a ring light. Bright, unblinking, clinical. That night, I put the sonogram on my kitchen counter and did what I do when code doesn't compile. I checked dependencies. It took exactly 4 minutes for discomfort to turn into a task list. 1. Timeline. Last contact with Jenna, 10 months ago. 2. Postnup clause. The pregnancy exception only triggers with verified medical documentation from licensed providers, plus joint counseling disclosures. 3. Sonogram metadata. A photo of a printout has no metadata, but the layout looked familiar. I didn't want to be the guy who Googles fake sonogram template, but boring is knowing you will hate yourself either way and still chasing the truth. 5 scrolls down an Etsy page, my stomach slid. The layout matched. The corner font. The faint grid. Even the decorative border pixels at the bottom that weren't quite aligned. The seller had identical preview images with sample watermark. Remove watermark. Print at home. Write a name. Cruel, lucrative, perfectly deniable. I stopped. Slept. Failed. Woke at 4:12 to a text from a number I didn't recognize. You did this to her. Audio attached. I didn't press play. I've worked in security long enough to know that audio is the cheapest lie. You can buy a voice for less than a door hinge. The send time was 3:58 a.m. The area code was from Nate City. The next day, my building sent the weekly access log email. A CSV of badge entries for the lobby. The timestamp on my first entry, 7:41 a.m. The timestamp on the audio message, 3:58 a.m. If they were building a case, they were building it fast and sloppy. Jenna didn't email medical documents that day. She did, however, post a Notes app screenshot to her Instagram. I didn't want to share this, but some of you have asked. Yes, it's true. It's been hard without support, but God never gives you more than you can handle. The comments flooded. Hearts, prayers, men are trash, and one from Nate. Proud of your strength. He'll do the right thing eventually. I wrote her a message that I never sent. Doing the right thing and doing the loud thing aren't synonyms. Instead, I called Priya my friend in compliance. I didn't give names. I described a hypothetical with a pregnancy exception clause and asked, academically, what counts as verification? She sighed the sigh of people who have read the worst stories in human footnotes. Chain of custody matters, she said. Provider records, not screenshots. Original digital files if possible. And if someone is generating a narrative publicly, you need a legal hold on any potential evidence. Send a courteous, documented letter asking them to preserve devices and accounts. I'm not trying to scorch earth, I said. Just not be crushed under a false narrative. Then be careful, she said. And boring. 2 days later, Jenna sent an email with a PDF attachment. The file name began with scan underscore and ended with a chaotic string, as if she thought entropy could generate authenticity. The header was a common clinic letterhead, but the footer font was wrong. The date format didn't match the header's locale. The PDF metadata said it was created in Canva. I asked politely for the native file or a direct release from the provider. She didn't reply. What she did do was announce a baby shower. Nate posted the invite graphic, balloon arches and beige aesthetic. No gifts necessary. Presence is everything. The comments tagged me in absentia. Someone wrote, maybe this will finally bring people together. And I felt my jaw find a new setting between clenched and carved. I bought a 3-ring binder. I printed the Etsy listing, then the seller's shop policies, then a list of IP addresses used to access my email over the last 60 days. 2 failed login attempts from an address that also hit my old shared Netflix at Jenna's condo. I filed building access logs, then screenshots of the Instagram post with timestamps, then a clean copy of the Postnup, the clause highlighted. Exception applies only upon verified pregnancy with provider attestation and jointly acknowledged counseling. Fraudulent misrepresentation nullifies exception and triggers Section 14, defamation/fraud. I added one more tab labeled audio. I finally played it. My voice or a decent facsimile, whisper yelling. I told you, don't make me do this. The breathing was wrong. The consonants cut like they'd been snipped with scissors. I imported the file into a tool I use for training. The spectrogram had seams, synthetic stitching. It would hold for Instagram. It wouldn't hold for court. 2 nights before the shower, Lauren, a friend who kept her loyalty quiet, texted me a photo of Nate's laptop, left open at a party. In the photo, a browser tab with the Etsy shop and a cart containing deluxe ultrasound bundle, editable, timestamp in the menu bar, date visible on a desk calendar in frame. Lauren is a professional event planner. She notices what people set down when they get comfortable. Do not blow this up, she wrote. Make it clean, boring, devastating. On the day of the baby shower, I wore a navy blazer and brought a gift bag with tissue paper that matched the invite. Inside, 3 envelopes, each labeled. 1, friendly notice to preserve evidence. 2, Postnup clause summary. 3, initial findings. And the binder. The venue was a rented studio with white brick and afternoon light. Balloon arches made soft shadows that looked like punctuation. People hugged Jenna like a verdict had just been delayed. Nate hovered, a shepherd guarding a flock from context. I didn't make a toast. I didn't raise my voice. When Jenna came to me, hands nervously smoothing her dress, I said, "I brought something for you," and handed her envelope one. When she blinked at the letterhead, I said, "It just asks you not to delete anything, because I will not be making any statements today, only providing information to whoever asks." She laughed, a small hiccup of disbelief. "You're not going to ruin this," she whispered. "I'm going to let it be what it is," I said. Then I sat at a side table. I opened the binder, and I let people come to me. Lauren came first, eye steady, mouth tight. She turned pages like a nurse changing bandages. Competent, efficient, braced for the sight. "This is enough," she murmured. "Alex, this is enough." A cousin I'd never met came next, then a coworker who'd always liked me, then someone I only knew from Jenna's Pilates stories. I didn't editorialize. I pointed. I answered questions when asked. I did not say fake out loud. I said, metadata, source, provider release, conflict in dates. Nate tried to shut the binder, and Lauren's hand landed on his wrist with the practiced weight of someone who moves drunk groomsmen away from fondue fountains. "Let him show," she said. "You've been showing plenty." Jenna stood by the cake with a knife she didn't use. Silence has a flavor. This one tasted like fondant and fear. When her mother finally asked, trembling, "Jenna?" It was not an accusation. It was a request for a version of reality that could survive the next 5 minutes. Jenna looked at me with a hatred so clean it sparkled. "You planned this," she said. "No," I said. "You did." Update 1. I didn't storm out of the baby shower. I closed the binder, said goodbye to the people who could still meet my eyes, and carried the empty gift bag to the elevator like it was evidence too. I didn't look back. In the reflection of the elevator doors, my face looked older in the specific way honesty ages you. 20 minutes later, Jenna's Instagram went private. 40 minutes later, Nate posted a black square with white text, "Abusers weaponize evidence. Believe women." The comments were a split screen. Half of them clapping back at me for ruining a celebration, half of them quietly asking, "But the dates?" At 2 a.m. A burner account DM'd me a video, grainy, alleyway, a figure in a black hoodie grabbing Jenna's wrist. No face. The caption, "He did this. You think he won't do it again?" I recognized the alley, the one behind her condo. I also recognized the camera angle. The HOA approved a single dome camera that doesn't face that direction. Someone recorded this with a phone from behind the HOA camera housing, wide enough to see the dome in the corner of the frame. I didn't sleep. I made tea and started a folder called Attack. The badge logs work I was still in the office at the alleged time. CSV. Entry 1942. Exit 2103. A garage gate footage my building my car never left. The gate shows every license plate in and out. Food delivery receipt. A burrito arriving at 2021 with the photo of it at my door, and my socked feet in the bottom of the frame because I didn't realize I was photobombing evidence. Phone location history, not court grade, but consistent. 2-factor prompts. Duo logins on my laptop at 2006 and 2058 for code review. The attack video had 2 giveaways beyond angle. First, the audio is wrong. Alleyways swallow sound. They don't give you crisp footfalls and a movie slap. Second, there's reflection on a window 2 doors down. A parked car's daytime running light blinks when the attacker lunges, and then blinks again out of rhythm with the movement like someone hit play twice. Lauren, who knows venues like detectives know alleyways, texted back at 7:10 a.m. That light reflection? It's a blink from an iPhone focus assist. Whoever filmed it stood near the glass with a phone. Compare to this. She sent a short clip of her own phone lock screen blinking in that same cadence. By noon, I had what I needed to not take to the internet. I sent envelope 1, the legal hold letter, again. This time via certified mail, with a polite note. Please preserve all original files, devices, and accounts related to the sonogram, audio, and Ali video. My attorney, who is allergic to adjectives, added one immediately. Nate replied from his personal email, "We have nothing to hide. Stop harassing us." He CC'd Jenna. He also forgot to remove the footer his workplace auto ads, which includes a unique device ID and approximate IP. I smiled like a librarian finding the book you swore you returned. How the attack actually happened, receipts. I said in my first post that audio is the cheapest lie. The Ali video was expensive by comparison, time, staging, courage, but not clever. The real headache was an audio clip they'd been teasing to mutuals. The voice mine, hissing, "You ruin everything. You will regret it." When I ran it through the tool again, I noticed the seam I'd missed. At 0:14, the background noise floor jumps by a tiny but measurable fraction, like someone spliced 2 takes and didn't feather the ends. The sibilants on ruin and regret also carry the same spectral fingerprint, copy-paste of the consonant bed. Humans are messy. Computers are repetitive. I emailed a short memo, no grandstanding, just bullet points, to Jenna's attorney of record from the divorce, attaching the spectrogram and my request for the original project file used to generate or edit the audio. I offered to have any inspection done by a neutral third-party specialist, or via escrow of the file hash. Their office responded with, "We do not represent Ms. Jenna in this matter." Not denial, distance. Meanwhile, Lauren had been checking the event vendor group chats because she is both a good friend and a professional who knows where chaos leaks. A bartender from a party 2 weeks ago posted a blurry photo in a WhatsApp thread. Nate's laptop open, Etsy tab highlighted, cart containing deluxe ultrasound bundle, editable, timestamp visible in the top bar. The bartender didn't know whose laptop it was. She just thought it was messed up and asked if anyone had ever seen a fake ultrasound prank at a party. Lauren pulled the original from her iCloud backup and airdropped it to me. Metadata intact. Location pin puts it at a venue 4 blocks from Jenna's condo. 2 days before her "I'm pregnant" cafe reveal to me. I didn't need Etsy to identify the buyer. I needed probabilities to line up in a straight enough row that even the kindest person in the room would squint and say, "Huh, donation page," and the first public wobble. Somewhere between the baby shower and the black square post, someone launched a donation page for Jenna. The copy was perfect for sympathy and perfectly unlike Jenna's usual tone. The page said the funds were for prenatal costs and safety planning. It was created with a burner Gmail that reused a recovery phone number I recognized from an old Netflix account we'd shared and she'd claimed in the split. I didn't touch it. I didn't report it. I archived it with a third-party timestamping service, then captured the payment processor's public transaction IDs, the ones donors can see on their receipts. I didn't want to know who donated. I wanted to know whether, if this fell apart, they could get their money back. They could. Then a nurse who follows Lauren noticed something tiny. The patient number format on the PDF Jenna sent me was wrong for the clinic whose letterhead she used. The checksum digit they use at the end has a pattern, hers didn't. She dropped Lauren a DM. "This isn't mine to get involved in, but whoever faked that did it badly." She attached a redacted screenshot of the clinic's actual numbering scheme from a public training manual. Lauren, to her eternal credit, did not send that to me. She asked the nurse if the nurse would be comfortable saying the same thing if asked by a lawyer. The nurse said, "If it's a court order, yes. Adults in the room." I could breathe. Why Nate mattered. I didn't want this to be about Nate. Turning the camera to the other man is the quickest way to make women online defensive, for good reason. But the IP in his email footer kept tugging my sleeve. I ran it through a public ASN lookup. It mapped to his company's remote office block. Fine. Then I checked the download timestamp on the Etsy bundle we saw in the photo and compared it to an email Jenna sent me hours later. "Just wanted to let you know I'm scheduling a prenatal checkup." Smiley face. The 2 times were 13 minutes apart. A correlation isn't a confession, but a rhythm is a rhythm. At 5 p.m. the day after the shower, I got a text from an unknown number. "You win. Are you happy?" No punctuation at the end, like someone flung the words and ran. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, another. I didn't think it would go this far. I saved the number as maybe Nate and put the phone down on the counter like it might crack under the weight of ambivalence. The room turns itself. People always imagine the reveal as a cinematic moment where the liar collapses under a single perfect sentence. That's not what happened. The room turned itself over the next 48 hours like bread dough, slowly and under the pressure of its own yeast. Jenna's aunt called me, voice shaking, not to apologize, but to ask where she could verify the ultrasound shop link for herself. I sent it with no commentary. Two donors posted comments on the fundraiser. Hey, if this isn't accurate, how do I request a refund? The page owner turned off comments. Screenshots flooded anyway. A mutual friend who had defended Jenna hardest messaged me. I still think you're cruel for doing this at the shower, and I also can't unsee the date mismatch. Both things can be true at once. She's the only person whose anger I decided to keep. That night, someone slid a folder under my apartment door. Inside, printouts of texts between Jenna and Nate. The top page was the kind of message you send when you think history will edit in your favor. Jenna, he needs to feel it. He always hides behind facts. I want him to feel small for once. Nate, we do this right and no one will doubt you again. We have the video. We have the audio. Jenna, then we win. No proof the texts were real, just paper. The second page had EXIF dumps of where the screenshots were taken. The location pin nested like a target on Jenna's condo. The third page was a photo of the same texts displayed on a phone in a mirror, with Jenna's bathroom tile pattern in the background. Sloppy, cruel, human. I didn't publish them. I took the folder to my attorney, who scanned and sealed them. He said, if this were a TV show, this is where I'd say we've got them. And then a judge would throw it out for chain of custody. So breathe. We keep moving. The phone call I didn't expect. At 9:13 a.m. The next morning, Jenna called me. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was small in a real way this time. You didn't have to do it like that, she said. You could have told me. You didn't have to make me look crazy. In the background, someone asked, do you want me to say it? And she hissed, no. I listened twice, then a third time for the sound of typing, a tell that it could be scripted or recorded. There was none. I called her back and let it ring once, then hung up. I texted, if you want to talk, bring your lawyer. I'll bring mine. I won't post about you. I won't let you post about me. She didn't reply. Nate did, from his own number, 20 minutes later. We can fix this if you retract. I wrote back, retract what? He didn't answer, where the first crack became a fault line. Late that afternoon, the clinic whose letterhead Jenna used sent a general email to patients warning of fraudulent documents circulating. No names, no gossip, just a reminder that all official communications would come through their portal and that any verification could be requested there. It was almost certainly unrelated to us on paper. In reality, it landed in 3 group chats like a knife in a cutting board. Jenna's mother called Lauren. I don't know exactly what was said. I know the result was a text from Lauren to me. Just 2 words, it's breaking. I went for a walk. The dog trotted like he knew relief was a block ahead. I wondered, not for the first time, if I'd overreached. I didn't shout. I didn't smear. I opened a binder and let people examine their own reflection in the glass. But the outcome is the same whether you swing the hammer or put the nail under a train. Something breaks. On my doormat when I got home. Another envelope. No name. Inside, a single prenatal appointment card with tomorrow's date and a sticky note. Ask them to confirm if she's in their system. I stared at it until the glue of the sticky note dried out of smell. I put it in the binder under a new tab, if asked. I wasn't going to call the clinic. Couldn't. That crossed lines I was trying to keep. If Jenna wanted to be in a system, she could be. If she wanted to be in mine, she'd have to choose the truth. Update 2. I woke up before my alarm to the sound of a text that didn't belong to my morning. Haven OB. You are listed as emergency contact for Jenna, redacted. Appointment confirmed for tomorrow 10:30 a.m. If this is incorrect, Reply stop or call. XXX, XXXXXX. I stared at it long enough for the phone to dim. I hadn't touched Jenna's medical life since we split. If HIPAA were a person, I'd have sent it a thank you card. But emergency contacts persist through the lazy corners of paperwork. She forgot to remove me. That was the first part. The second part was worse. The clinic branding on the text, Haven OB, did not match the letterhead on the PDF she'd emailed me. River East Women's Health. Different names, different logos, different color schemes baked into the asset previews. Tiny, devastating. I didn't reply to the text. I called the clinic and said, as calmly as a human can be while being nodded, I believe I am incorrectly listed as an emergency contact for an adult patient. Please remove me. The receptionist thanked me and said she couldn't confirm anything else. Good. Boundaries held. I added a new tab to the binder. Mismatch. Letterhead versus portal. A screenshot of the SMS, cropped to the clinic name, not the appointment. A print of the PDF header. A simple 2-column table. Haven OB, SMS, versus River East, PDF. Underneath, a post-it. She used my name to prop the lie. She forgot to align the props. At 9:45 a.m. My attorney emailed, meeting at noon. Their side asked for it. He included a conference room address and 3 lines of guidance. Bring nothing you aren't ready to leave behind. Don't argue. Let the paper speak. The room had glass walls, a view of a river that looked like a spreadsheet unfurling, and the kind of speakerphone that makes everyone sound like an apology. Jenna arrived first, in a blazer a shade brighter than confidence. Nate arrived second, in cuffed sleeves like a man prepared to carry a couch. Their attorney, new since the divorce, arrived third, his tie the color of a cease and desist. No one shook hands. My attorney slid 3 packets forward. Packet A. Legal hold reminder and an offer. If Ms. Jenna issues a retraction to the same audience that received the allegations, refunds any donations, and signs a mutual non-disparagement, we will consider the matter resolved, and OP will take no further actions under Sections 10 and 14 of the Postnup. Section 14 is the defamation/fraud provision, the one we both pretended we'd never need. Packet B. A summary of mismatches, dates, letterheads, numbering schemes, each on its own page with footnotes like the quiet tick of a metronome. No adjectives, just underlines. Packet C. A draft of a joint statement. We experienced a miscommunication compounded by inaccurate documentation. We're working together to correct it. Please direct any questions to us privately. We ask for grace while we make this right. Jenna's attorney read without moving his face. Nate leaned in too early, the way you learn not to in poker. Paragraph 3, he huffed. This is a shakedown. My attorney didn't look at him. This is the difference between court and closure. Jenna kept her eyes on the table. Halfway through packet B, she said, very quietly, he brought a binder to my baby shower. The attorney pretended he didn't hear. Nate didn't. You humiliated her, Nate said to me. You made her look crazy. I didn't use that word, I said. And I didn't publish anything. I gestured to the pages. This is what I showed. Privately, when asked. Jenna's attorney cleared his throat. Ms. Jenna, is there any medical documentation you can provide that would clarify the discrepancies? Jenna flinched. The blink that comes before either truth or the lie you marry. I switched clinics. She said it like a life raft. River East was slow with intake, so I went to Haven. My attorney nodded. Easy to verify. We'll accept a provider attestation sent directly to us from the clinic's official domains. The room shifted. Jenna's hand went to her necklace, the one she bought the week after we separated. The one that sits exactly where you imagine a calm breath would stop. I don't have to prove anything to him, she said. Not anymore. That's correct, my attorney said. You do not. You only have to decide whether you want to repeat the statements you've already made, in a venue where proof is the point. Nate's knee started bouncing. He looked at Jenna like a man looking for his part in the script. When it didn't arrive, he made one. Retract what? He said, without the question mark. That he abandoned you? That he scared you? That he... Jenna's attorney placed a palm on the table. We will review the offer and respond by end of day tomorrow. We stood. No handshakes again. In the hallway, Jenna spoke for the first time to me. You always do this, she said. You turn life into a spreadsheet until it hates you back. I wanted to say, I tried to turn life into a spreadsheet because secrets were an ocean, but it would have been a poem in a room full of calculators. I folded the thought and put it in my pocket. Change your emergency contact, I said instead. You forgot. Her mouth opened, closed. She understood the text now. The mismatch. Her eyes filled in a way I recognized as both genuine and weaponized by her own fear. She didn't cry. She just turned away and walked to the elevator like the floor might edit beneath her. The clinic day that wasn't. The next morning I worked from home like I was trying to not be near anything that could be called a stakeout. At 10:41, my phone buzzed again. Haven OB. Appointment updated. No show. If you are not the emergency contact for Jenna, redacted. Reply stop or call. I pressed stop. I called anyway and told the receptionist, same voice, same measured kindness, that I had been removed. She confirmed she would complete the process. I didn't ask for anything else. I wrote down nothing beyond the fact that a no-show autoprompt was a thing that could happen in the universe, and that I wanted no further part in it. The world, however, had its own scheduling. At 11:12, Lauren texted a screenshot from Jenna's mother's Facebook. We are taking a break from social media to focus on family. Please respect privacy. Any donations have been refunded. The fundraiser page showed a zero balance. The comments were off. A quiet earthquake. At 1:23, my attorney forwarded an email from Jenna's new counsel. We accept the mutual non-disparagement and will issue a corrected statement. MS. Jenna maintains she believed the documentation to be valid at time of posting. Lawyer for We're Sorry, without saying We're Sorry. The draft joint statement came back with minimal edits. They cut the phrase, inaccurate documentation, replacing it with misunderstood paperwork. We pushed it back across the table with the original phrasing restored and one addition. Donations have been refunded in full by the organizer. We ask that our community not harass anyone involved. They signed. The part of the story that keeps its talons. I should have felt relief. I should have poured a drink, patted the dog, closed the binder, and put it on a shelf behind tax returns and warranties for appliances that outlived us. Instead, I stared at the word harass and felt a heat I don't like in myself. Because here's the part that keeps its talons. Nate. The mutual non-disparagement covered public comments. It didn't cover my mind replaying his black square post about abusers and believing women. It didn't cover the Etsy cart in his laptop, the IP in his email footer, the texts in the envelope under my door, the audio seam where rage had been stitched like a costume. It also didn't cover what came that night, in a message with no return address. A paternity clinic receipt in his name, dated 2 weeks before the baby shower, tagged, self-pay, rush. Not proof. Not proof of a baby. Proof of fear. Proof of a game played with the kind of stakes that turn people fascist about their narratives. I didn't send it to anyone. I put it in the binder with a tab labeled, Do Not Use. If this story was going to end without turning me into something new and ugly, there had to be pages I never opened in public. The apology that wasn't and the truth that was. At 8:07 p.m. Jenna called. I answered on speaker with my attorney present in the room and hers on the line. For adults like traffic cones around a complicated intersection. She read the corrected statement slowly, the way you practice a speech that makes your mouth a stranger. When she finished, there was a long silence in which I could hear the faintest clicks of someone's keyboard. Her lawyer taking notes, I imagined. Then Jenna said, I'm sorry, without reading it, and I believed her the way you believe fog real, present, and prone to lifting the second the sun insists. You have to remove me from your emergency contacts. I said again, because boring is repetition until reality acknowledges you. And please don't contact me directly anymore. Go through counsel. I didn't think it would go this far, she said. The The same sentence that had arrived as a text from maybe 8 days earlier. "That's the thing about going," I said, before I could edit it into kindness. "It goes." We hung up with the soft thuds of people putting down weapons they were never trained to carry. What I keep, what I burn. I shredded the extra copies of Packet B. I kept the binder, one copy, sealed and labeled in a box with the Postnup, our mortgage discharge, and the dog's adoption paperwork. I wrote a note on top, "Open only if sued." It felt ceremonial, and ceremony helps the animal brain keep the leash. Lauren came over with takeout and a face that said say anything or nothing. "I am furniture that loves you." We ate in silence until she asked the only dangerous question left. "Do you feel done?" I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say the word like a spell. Instead I said, "I feel finished." Done is a different thing. She nodded. Finished is a place. Done is a time. The time will come. We watched dumb TV until it was late enough to be safe, and then later still when safe becomes sleep. On my phone, the corrected statement went up. Comments turned off. The donation page closed. The black square post vanished from Nate's grid like a tooth pulled and hidden under a pillow for money. I turned the phone face down and let the dark be boring again. Final update. I thought the end would be loud. I pictured some colossal gavel in the sky, a thunderclap rearranging everyone's spine into the posture of truth. Instead, the end was a Tuesday. I answered emails about sprint points, I walked the dog, I folded laundry so precisely it felt like an apology to Cotton. The corrected statement was up, the donations were refunded, the phone went quiet. No victory parade, no bonfire, just the soft click of a door closing the way it should have months ago. 2 things happened in that quiet that mattered. The first was therapy. I booked a session because finished is a place, done is a time, and I didn't trust myself with time. My therapist, Mara, a woman who keeps boxes of tissues like potted plants, asked me to name the part of me that brought a binder to a baby shower. "Security," I said. "And the part of you that arranged the pages perfectly so other people could discover the conclusion on their own?" she asked. "Control," I said. She nodded like I had correctly identified a bird by its song. "Secure people use facts to orient themselves," she said. "Controlling people use facts to orient a room. Which one were you?" "I didn't post anything," I said, defensive in a way that makes the word taste like pennies. "Not posting is abstinence," she said gently. "Not orchestrating is integrity." I stared at the carpet long enough to learn its map. "I wanted the room to stop hurting me," I said. "But I also wanted the room to see her. The bad parts. The parts one lived with that made me doubt my own eyes." "Do you need the room to carry that forever for you?" she asked. I didn't, or I didn't want to. Those are different verbs. We talked about anger, the clean kind, a boundary, versus the dirty kind, a performance. She said the binder could be either. I walked out into an afternoon that felt unseasonably new. The second thing was Jenna's mother at the grocery store. Not staged. Not cinematic. She was putting soup cans into a cart with shaky hands, and I said hello because pretending not to see her would have been its own lie. She looked at me like the floor had moved again, then steadied. "We're handling things privately now," she said. "I'm glad," I said. It was true. She glanced at my basket. Coffee, dog treats, avocados that would ripen right when I needed them to. "I was cruel to you," she said. "I didn't ask questions. I just filled in the answers I wanted." "Me too," I said, because in a different universe I would have believed what I wanted and spared myself the binder. "I hope she's okay." "Me too," she said. She didn't cry. Neither did I. We were 2 people who had survived the same weather, not the same storm. I went home and did not tell anyone about the encounter until now, anonymously, because anonymous is the only way to keep the non-disparagement clean and my conscience cleaner. As for Nate, the internet wanted a villain's arc. Real life offered a shrug. The black square vanished, the sermonizing slowed, the invitations to group events dried up with the weather. Someone said he took a leave from work. Someone said he didn't. None of that is my business unless it crosses my property line, and it hasn't. In my binder there's still a tab labeled, Do not use. Contains exactly what it says. I will let it yellow. Jenna sent a final message through counsel asking for copies of certain pages from Packet B for personal reference. My attorney scanned and sent what was appropriate, redacted where necessary, and that was that. There are lives where people square their shoulders, take responsibility, and build something honest from rubble. I don't know if this will be hers. I hope so. Hope doesn't cost me anything now that it isn't financing denial. So why am I posting here? Because the part that started this, the moral question, didn't get answered by lawyers or refunds or the polite gravity of a joint statement. AITA for bringing a binder to a baby shower? For letting a room do math I had already done? For choosing boring over spectacle and still producing a scene? Here are the facts I can live with. I did not shout, smear, or publish. I allowed evidence to exist where it was already loudly being contradicted. I offered closure instead of court, and I meant it. When they accepted, I stopped moving the chess pieces. I maintained boundaries with the clinic, even when a no-show text could have fed my worst curiosity. I kept some things I will never use because victory can be an addiction, and I don't want to relapse. And here is the feeling I can't tidy into a bulleted list. Part of me liked the precision with which the room turned. Part of me still wants to narrate that turn to anyone who will listen. Part of me wants to be declared right the way people want to be declared innocent. That's the part, Mara, and I will keep feeding Decoff until it naps. The dog, incidentally, does not care. He forgives in 10-minute increments, the way mammals do when their lives are measured by who throws the ball next. Watching him, I made a decision. I took the binder to a safe deposit box. I labeled it with the case number from the Postnup and the date of the joint statement. I told my attorney in writing, unless sued or required by law, do not unseal without my express instruction. I kept one thing at home, the empty 3-ring spine. It sits on my shelf between cookbooks and a manual for a camera I don't use enough. A relic of a version of me who believed that facts alone could fix faith. Jenna changed her emergency contact. I got a system text confirming removal, the last automatic ghost of a life we no longer share. I deleted the thread. I deleted the backup. I will keep the memory of that deletion, not as a martyrdom but as maintenance. If you came here for a Hollywood ending, there isn't one. There's a quieter kind that we don't applaud because it looks like nothing from the outside. Tastes like Tuesday. It looks like doing your job, feeding your dog, texting your friend you're proud of her for getting certified in a thing that doesn't touch your story at all. It sounds like an apartment where the only beeping is the coffee maker telling you it's ready. Was I the Aholy? Maybe in the way a fuse is an Aholy for refusing to let a fire pretend to be light. Maybe in the way a spreadsheet is an A*** hole for refusing to be poetry. I can live with that. I prefer lives that keep their roofs. If you need a verdict, the only one that matters came from the part of me I almost didn't trust anymore. I did enough. Now I'm done.